Tonight, some families say their health has been threatened for years by something they can't even tell is there. The federal government has just released stricter air toxic standards for facilities that use the gas ethylene oxide, which is essential for keeping America's medical equipment sterile and safe. But some who've lived for years near ETO treatment plants fear the damage may already have been done.
Memphis, the city of kings. Where Martin died, Elvis lived. And the blues and barbecue are part of a family's bloodline. But this is South Memphis, and here residents say there's a possible hidden threat infiltrating their community.
So this is ground zero. So all these houses here, this is how close it is.
And these houses are less than a quarter mile
Exactly.
from the plant.
This lady here, that's his mother, which she has cancer. She has cancer. You know about that sterilization company right behind us, right here?
Vera Holmes' family has lived in Memphis for generations.
I appreciate you.
She's a hometown college basketball star who became a local businesswoman,
We definitely want you to come to the meeting.
now turned activist.
I want to make sure that we protect you and my mom and all the other seniors here.
Her mission, she says, is to sound the alarm about ethylene oxide, or ETO.
You can see it from here.
It's colorless, at times odorless, difficult to contain, and even more difficult to detect. It's been escaping as emissions out of a facility just outside their doorsteps. And people in this neighborhood fear it may be threatening their lives. But it's essential for sterilizing medical equipment. Ventilators, syringes, catheters are all treated with it. America's hospitals rely on ETO to prevent infections and ensure patient safety. You can see it in use here at an ad for a company called Nightline.
The ethylene oxide, or EO, is injected into the chamber.
According to the FDA, half of the sterile medical devices used every year in our country, around 20 billion, are treated with ETO.
Ethylene oxide is the most widely used, safe and effective, scientifically proven modality for medical device sterilization, not only in the United States, but worldwide.
But it's a double-edged sword. While there's no risk to doctors and their patients using devices sterilized with ETO, the gas is a known carcinogen, and breathing it in over time increases the risk of some cancers, including lymphoma, leukemia, stomach, and breast cancers. There are 88 facilities located all across the country, 32 states and Puerto Rico. And in August 2022, the EPA announced a list of 23 of them whose emissions contributed to elevated lifetime cancer risk for people living nearby with long-term exposure. The federal government now cracking down on ETO emissions. And it's become a flashpoint for neighborhoods like Vera's in Tennessee.
South Memphians say local health leaders are not doing enough for residents who may have been exposed to a cancer-causing chemical.
The racial injustice here, we cannot ignore. This is what happens in predominantly black neighborhoods.
To Illinois.
Sterigenics is accused of illegally releasing a cancer-causing waste into the air at its Willowbrook facility, which permanently closed in 2019. They're also denying any liability.
To Texas.
We, the people of Laredo, a proud Texas city that can't allow either of you to keep taking advantage of us any longer. Thank you.
We will have a crisis on our hands if ethylene oxide were to go away entirely.
Those caught in the crosshairs, people living in the shadows of the facilities.
How big a concern is it?
Well, with EPA is our Environmental Protection Agency. If they're concerned, that's major, because so many people that I know within my family and live in this area has died of cancer or have cancer now. They are sick.
This pains you.
Yes, because it doesn't have to be like this.
Those potentially impacted by ETO exposure most likely live in working-class neighborhoods, like families who've lived here in Memphis for years, who were unaware of the possible hidden risk next door.
There are many facilities around the country.
In 2022, officials from the EPA flew there to speak about the potential risk connected with sterilization services of Tennessee.
The best solution to reducing this risk is to reduce the amount of currently not regulated ethylene oxide fugitive emissions that is coming out of this facility.
Scientists say it's nearly impossible to link any one person's cancer to ethylene oxide. But Ural Grand, who's lived here for more than 35 years, wonders if his diagnosis of stage 4 colon cancer in 2019 is related. And he says he's not alone.
I'm very concerned. At first I thought it was just me, isolated type of thing, but now I'm learning, almost blocks of people that's called cancer.
With mounting medical bills, he can't afford to move.
I thought this was my American dream right here, to have a home, have a house, but then, it kind of turned into an American nightmare.
It's stories like Ural's that motivate Vera's activism. At a church in the heart of the impact zone, dozens of residents, including Ural, showed up to make their voices heard.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. We want you to share your thoughts on really what's going on with the sterilization company. So we need your input.
I've had cancer. My neighbors on both sides have had cancer. My neighbor across the street has cancer. We're all seeing the same doctor.
Like you were saying, it's been going on for 37 years. Why now?
This is South Memphis. This is not the path of least resistance. This is the path of resilience.
Vera is partnering with Keyshawn Pearson, another local activist, who calls southern Memphis a sacrifice zone.
How do we get to this point? Why is there so much pollution in this one area of the city?
So the city as a whole has an F in air pollution and air quality. And 98% of the particulate matter that makes up the pollution is here in South Memphis. That's not coincidental. That is by design. It's been designed that this area specifically is a place where people's lives can be sacrificed. South Memphis is a place where historically industry has been able to get away with poisoning our air, our water, and our soil.
More than 800 miles away, Laredo, Texas, a border town. Population about 250,000, mostly working class, mostly Hispanic. It's a bustling center for trade.
This is one of the largest warehousing areas in the city. We have residential areas right next to this industrial area within a couple of miles.
Nestled in the middle of it all, Midwest Sterilization Corporation.
This is where Midwest Sterilization starts.
Victor Trevino Jr. is an attorney who's lived here his whole life. He's alarmed by the levels of ETO escaping from this facility, which has been in operation since 2005.
We are disproportionately carrying more emission burden because of plants like Midwest Sterilization, because all the sterilization kits from all over the country and the world, up to 40% of all the nation's sterilization kits come here to be sterilized.
There are schools within just a few miles of Midwest.
In this particular area, we also know that there's studies that show that 10 of our schools locally are in the top 1% exposure to toxic emissions. So that's really problematic, because out of all the schools in the United States, we have 10 in the top 1%. This is really a crisis for us at this point.
Many of the people in this community are already disadvantaged.
Laredo is a 95% Hispanic population. We have one of the highest poverty rates in the state.
We are here tonight because we are concerned about a specific type of air pollution here in Laredo.
In 2022, the EPA also visited Laredo to raise awareness.
I'll get that one. You want to get this one?
Yes.
We're just going to leave.
But for years, local activists Sheila Cerna and Tricia Cortez have taken it upon themselves to get the word out.
Got the flyers. You've got the flyers, English, Spanish.
The people in this neighborhood live just minutes from Midwest. And many said they had no idea the plant was there.
No lo he escuchado. La primera vez que escucho que se está pues distribuyendo o tirando al medio ambiente.
We met some very interesting people today.
What is it exactly?
People that are interested in this, people who have had family members and children that have passed away from cancer.
Some people knew about the issue, others didn't, so that's what makes our work so important.
Midwest telling ABC News they've always been in compliance with state and federal regulations and continue to be, and that our top priority is ensuring that we can continue to keep communities safe while helping to save patients' lives. We're firmly committed to doing everything possible to continue to reduce emissions and keep Laredoans safe. But now there are changes coming on a federal level. Under mounting pressure and for the first time in nearly 30 years, the EPA last week releasing new rules for commercial sterilizers that use ETO, aiming to reduce emissions by more than 90%. Facilities will have to implement major changes including pollution control, ventilation systems, and increased monitoring and reporting. The CEO of AdvaMed, a group that represents sterilization facilities, speaking out about potential changes.
We've made it clear that we welcome updated regulations. After all, our industry's commitment to saving and improving lives does not end where sterilization begins.
Adding in a statement, they have worked with EPA and FDA to enhance and not hinder their process. But facilities could take 2-3 years or longer to comply with the rule. The FDA says it's important to balance reducing emissions while not jeopardizing the medical device supply chain.
It is not a zero-sum game. We have to be able to achieve these objectives in parallel and together.
In the meantime, people like Vera worry about the impact on their neighbors. Last year, Sterilization Services of Tennessee already announced they would move to a new location outside of Memphis. In a letter to Congress, the company said they've never been out of compliance with reference to federal, state, and local mandates.
And on this side...
But for now, it's still in operation. And for Vera, her fight won't stop until it's closed.
I get the sense you shed some tears over this.
I have been on my knees, and I truly believe that the power of God through through Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, is really making a change. People are tired.
How are you?
They're afraid to speak up or speak out, but that's up to us as leaders to step in and say, hey, we hear you. We can make some things happen because it don't take many. It just takes the right team to do the right thing.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.